What you will find out in the coming minutes will shock you completely and can save your bones from a silent destruction that is happening now. 89% of the elderly who suffer from constant back pain, loss of progressive height, frequent fractures, and that terrible feeling of fragile are committing at least 3 of these 7 devastating diets that accelerate bone destruction without realizing them. And error number 1 is so common and seemingly harmless that it is present at the table of 9 out of 10 Brazilian families every day. But no doctor warns you about the real and devastating danger it represents for the integrity of your bones. Imagine finding that this persistent and unbearable pain in the hip that wakes you up at dawn, which gets worse when you get out of bed in the morning, or that constant feeling of fragility that makes you afraid to go down a staircase or get a heavy object, may be caused directly by specific foods that you consume every day, finding religiously that you are doing well for your health and strengthening your body. An absolutely revolutionary study of Harvard Medical School 2024 meticulously followed 2,847 people over 60 years for 36 consecutive months and discovered alarming data. These 7 specific food errors increase bone loss by up to 340% and can cause spontaneous fractures even without falls, impacts, or trauma apparent. But here is the news that will change your life. When these same participants have been running only 4 of these fatal errors, following a specific food protocol, bone density increased by an average of 67% in just 45 days, pain decreased dramatically in 89% of cases, and confidence to move back completely, allowing them to live with freedom and security. If you have come here, congratulations, because you are part of a silent and powerful revolution of brave people who are strictly refusing to accept that living with fragile bones, constant pain, and physical limitations is normal or inevitable in the aging process. There are more than 850,000 people determined in this transformative journey of bone recovery and natural strengthening of the body. Subscribe right now and activate the bell, because each new video can be exactly the revolutionary knowledge that was missing for you to completely recover strength, bone density, and absolute confidence in your movements. Today you will discover in detail and scientific way the 7 most dangerous and destructive dietary errors for your bones, carefully ranked from the most devastating, based on recent and revolutionary studies of 2024, with more than 15,000 elderly participants from various countries. And prepare yourself mentally, because error number 1 is so devastating and silent that it may be literally stealing up to 15% of your bone mass a year without you realize. But it is also surprisingly the easiest and fastest to correct, and you can start transformation today, right now. Now I need to know something very important about you. How old are you exactly, and how long you live daily with bone pain, joints, or this constant fear of fractures that limits your movements? Write there in the comments your actual age, and it has sincerely, what is your biggest difficulty with bone health and how it affects your daily life? It can be, I am 65 years old and I feel constant pain in the back that prevent me from sleeping, or I am 58 years old and I am afraid to fall and break me. His honest participation can literally save the bone health of thousands of people who are suffering in absolute silence, not knowing that there is real hope for recovery. Let's start immediately with error number 7, which may seem completely harmless and even healthy, but is destroying your bones quietly every day. Error 7. Excessive consuming dairy products, finding mistakenly that it is protecting and strengthening bones. I know it seems absolutely contradictory and goes against everything you have learned about bone nutrition, but let me explain to you in detail the complex and surprising science behind this revolutionary discovery. The vast majority of Brazilian elderly consume between 3 and 5 generous portions of dairy a day, whole milk in breakfast, yellow cheese in the morning snack, sugary yogurt in the afternoon, warm milk before bed, thinking religiously that he is doing his best for the health and strengthening of bones. But here is the scientific problem that few know. Excess calcium from industrialized dairy products can create a dangerous mineral imbalance that dramatically prevents the proper absorption of magnesium and vitamin K2, absolutely essential nutrients for calcium to be actually deposited and fixed on bones, instead of accumulating dangerously in the arteries, causing vascular calcification. In addition, modern industrialized dairy products are extremely rich in acidifying proteins that alter blood pH, forcing the body to emergency calcium and other bone minerals to neutralize this acidity and maintain the vital balance of blood pH. An impressive 2023 study by the renowned Mayo Clinic followed meticulously 1,456 women over 55 for 24 consecutive months and showed shocking results. Those consumed more than 3 abundant dairy per day had 34% plus serious hip fractures compared to moderately only 1 portion per day, prioritizing other sources of calcium. What most impressed and surprised the researchers was that women who consciously reduced dairy consumption to one balanced daily and significantly increased the consumption of rich green leafy vegetables, had a 23% surprising increase in bone density in just 6 months of protocol. The practical solution is simple but revolutionary. Rigorously limit dairy consumption to only one portion of quality per day. Always prefer organic, lactose-free and hormone versions, and always strategically combine with foods naturally rich in vitamin K2, as dark green leafy vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower. If you have a rooted habit of drinking milk every day, try intelligently to alternate with organic vegetable milks fortified with bioavailable calcium and magnesium. In just 30 days you will notice visibly less abdominal swelling, better digestion, less gases, and most importantly, your bones will start to absorb and use nutrients dramatically more efficiently. Error 6. Consume refined sugar and industrialized candy regularly, without having the slightest idea of the absolutely devastating impact on bones and skeletal system. Each spoon of refined white sugar that you consume immediately trigger a systemic inflammatory process that directly and specifically attacks the cells responsible for the formation and regeneration of bone tissue. Refined sugar drastically increases cortisol levels, the dangerous chronic stress hormone which completely blocks intestinal calcium absorption and exponentially accelerates bone loss through multiple destructive mechanisms. In addition, refined sugar creates an extremely acidic and inflammatory environment in the body that forces the body to use the precious bone minerals, especially calcium, magnesium, and phosphorus, to neutralize this acidity and maintain blood pH at life-compatible levels. It is literally as if their bones are constantly mined and looted to maintain blood pH balance, acting as an emergency reserve that can never recover properly. An absolutely revolutionary study of 2024 of the prestigious University of Cambridge followed 2,134 people over 60 years old for 24 months and discovered alarming data. Those consumed more than 50 grams of refined sugar per day, the equivalent of only 2 small sodas or 5 common sweet cookies, had a loss of density, consciously limited consumption to just 15 grams per day. Most impressive and hopeful was that by completely eliminating refined sugar from the daily diet, participants had an extraordinary reduction of 89% in chronic bone pain in just 3 weeks of protocol. To effectively reverse this accumulated damage, completely eliminate and without refined sugar exceptions, soft drinks, industrialized candy, milk chocolates and all products processed with hidden added sugar. Intelligently replace with fresh organic fruits, natural dates, pure bee honey in moderation and natural stevia. Read all labels meticulously because sugar is criminally hidden in ready-made sauces, industrialized breads, powder spices, and even vitamin supplements. In just 21 days, your bones will completely stop being stolen from essential minerals, and you will feel a significant and noticeable decrease in chronic joint pain. Error 5. Consume excess refined salt that is literally draining and wasting precious calcium of their bones through forced urinary elimination. Every 1,000 milliliters of refined sodium consumed in excessive needs, you lose approximately 26 milliliters of valuable calcium by urine. And the shocking reality is that most Brazilian elderly consume 3 to 5 times more refined than recommended by health organizations, without realizing or understanding the consequences devastadoras. Excessive sodium forces the kidney overloaded to work much more intensely to eliminate it from the body, and in this complex metabolic process they lead together, indiscriminately, absolutely essential minerals such as calcium, magnesium, and potassium. It is literally as if you are deliberately pouring your more precious and expensive minerals in the toilet every day. Refined salt also dangerously increases chronic systemic inflammation, which activates destructive cells called osteoclasts, true bone eaters, that destroy healthy bone tissue much faster than it can regenerate naturally, creating a constant negative balance. A 2023 revolutionary trial clinical of the renowned Johns Hopkins University, with 1,678 participants over 65, showed surprising results. Consciously reducing sodium consumption from 500 milliliters to 1,500 milliliters per day resulted in an extraordinary reduction of 42% in urinary calcium loss in just 4 weeks of protocol. Even more impressive and hopeful, after 12 consecutive weeks with low sodium consumption and high natural potassium intake, bone densitometry tests showed a significant increase of 31% in bone density of the lumbar spine. Immediately and completely eliminate ultra-processed foods such as sausages, salami, ham, canned, preserves, Industrialized ready sauces, glutamate powder spices, and packaged snacks abundantly use fresh aromatic herbs, natural garlic, onion, organic lemon, apple vinegar, and natural spices to give intense and delicious flavor to your meals. Always prepare your home meals with fresh ingredients and always meticulously read labels. Diet and light products often contain even more sodium hidden to compensate for flavor loss. In 30 days, you will notice visibly less swelling, less fluid retention, less morning joint pain, and your bones will begin to efficiently retain the precious minerals they really need to strengthen. Error 4. Drinking industrialized gasified soda and beverages that contain concentrated phosphoric acid, one of the largest and most silent enemies of bone health. Phosphoric acid present abundantly in soda, especially in dark glue, creates a dangerous chemical imbalance in the calcium-phosphorus relationship in the body. When you consume very phosphorus without sufficient calcium and bioavailable to properly balance this proportion, the body automatically and emergency calcium removes bones to maintain this critical proportion in the blood, prioritizing blood homeostasis to the detriment of bone integrity. It is exactly like making a forced and constant withdrawal in the bank account of your bones, never making deposits to replace what was removed. In addition, phosphoric acid significantly increases blood acidity, forcing the desperate body to use calcium bicarbonate directly from bones to neutralize this acidity and maintain pH at life-compatible levels. A single small can of soda can contain up to 55 milliliters of concentrated phosphoric acid, enough to neutralize and waste 55 milliliters of precious calcium from your bones. An absolutely alarming study of 2024 of the prestigious Stanford University meticulously accompanied 3,247 women, over 50, for 30 consecutive months, and discovered terrifying data. Those who drank only one small soda per day had a devastating bone density, 67% smaller in the hip and 23% smaller in the spine, compared to those that did not consume gasified drinks. When these women completely eliminated diet soda and increased pure water consumption, there was an average surprising increase of 18% in bone density in just 6 months of protocol. Replace immediately and without soda exceptions with water filtered with organic lemon, natural teas without sugar, fresh coconut water or natural sugar, added juices. If you have a deeply rooted habit of drinking soda in the main meals, start the gradual but determined reduction from 1 can per day to 1 every 3 days, then to 1 per week, and finally eliminates completely. In 45 days, you will notice a significant improvement in energy, disposition, less night bone pain, and their laboratory tests will show less loss of essential minerals. Now I need to ask you a very important and revealing question. How many of these first 4 devastating errors did you clearly identify in your current daily diet? Pause the video right now, go to your kitchen and refrigerator, and count meticulously how many products you found to make these dangerous mistakes. Then you come back here and write, I found X dangerous products for my bones. This is not just curiosity entifific. Your honest response can wake up and alert others to the hidden and silent dangers who are systematically destroying the bone health of millions of Brazilian elderly. If you are discovering revolutionary scientific information that no doctor told you before, leave your like down. It helps the algorithm show this video to more people who are losing bone mass progressively, not knowing why or how to reverse. And it prepares mentally because the next 3 mistakes are even more dangerous and devastating. Number 1 will make you deeply outraged when you find that you are in the house of virtually all Brazilians being consumed daily. Error 3. Excessive coffee that is dramatically blocking calcium absorption and other minerals absolutely essential for the formation and maintenance of bone tissue. Caffeine is an extremely powerful diuretic that significantly increases the forced elimination of calcium, magnesium, and vitamin D through urine, creating a state of constant mineral deficiency. But the problem goes far beyond simple elimination. Caffeine directly and specifically interferes with osteoblast function, specialized cells responsible for building new healthy bone tissue. It's just like having a team of talented workers trying to build a solid house, but someone constantly stealing the bricks, cement, and tools needed for work. In addition, coffee increases cortisol production, chronic stress hormone, which severely inhibits intestinal calcium absorption and dangerously activates osteoclasts, destructive cells that systematically destroy existing bone tissue. For each cup of strong coffee consumed, you lose approximately 6 milliliters of precious calcium in the urine, and if you drink coffee near the main meals, the absorption of calcium from food is drastically reduced by up to 60%. An absolutely impressive study of 2023 from the University of Melbourne rigorously followed 2,189 people over 55 years for 42 consecutive months and discovered alarming data. Those consumed more than 4 cups of strong coffee a day had a 45% higher serious fracture rate compared to those consciously limited consumption to just 1 cup a day. What deeply surprised the researchers was that by reducing consumption to a maximum of 2 small cups a day, and never close to meals, there was an extraordinary reduction of 38% in fractures and a significant increase of 15% in bone density in just 8 months. Strictly limit coffee at a maximum of 2 small cups a day, always at least 2 hours after the main meals, not to interfere with the absorption of minerals. Replace excess with organic green tea, which has less caffeine and contains antioxidant compounds that actually protect and strengthen bones. If you feel very abstinence and irritability, make the gradual but determined reduction from 5 cups to 3, then to 2, respecting the body's adaptation time. In 6 weeks, you will notice better absorption of nutrients in meals and less morning bone pain. Error 2. Consume excessive animal protein that is dangerously acidifying their blood and forcing their bones to constantly sacrifice themselves to maintain vital pH. When you consume a lot of animal protein, especially processed red meats, large quantities and mercury-rich fish in exaggerated portions, your body produces metabolic acids as a natural byproduct of digestion of these complex proteins. To emergently neutralize this dangerous acidity and maintain compatible blood pH, your body desperately needs alkaline minerals, and guesses where it removes these essential minerals? Directly from your bones, which act as an emergency reserve. It is a primitive survival mechanism that prioritizes the immediate balance of the blood to the detriment of long-term bone health. In addition, excess animal protein increases the elimination of calcium through urine through a scientific process called protein-induced calcuria. For each extra gram of protein consumed above the actual need, you lose approximately 1 milliliters of valuable calcium in the urine, a loss that accumulates tragically over the months and years. An absolutely revolutionary meta-analysis of 2024 published in the prestigious Nature Medicine analyzed data from 23 independent studies with 8,456 people over 60 years and discovered shocking results. Those consumed more than 2 grams of protein per kilo of body weight per day, the equivalent of 140 grams of protein to a 70-kilogram person, had a loss of density devastating 89% higher compared to those who kept consumption balanced at 1.2 grams per kilo. When the PA Retoration consciously reduced animal protein consumption and significantly increased plant proteins such as beans, lentils, quinoa, and nuts, there was an extraordinary reduction of 72% in bone loss in just 16 weeks. Strictly keep the consumption of animal protein at most 1.2 grams per kilo of body weight, prioritizing wild fish and organic birds in moderate portions. Replace at least 30% of animal protein with rich legumes, oleaginous nuts, and nutritious seeds. Always combine animal protein with alkaline vegetables such as broccoli, kale, spinach, and arugula to naturally neutralize acidity. In 30 days, you will feel less systemic inflammation, better digestion, less swelling, and your bones will stop being constantly mined to balance the pH. And now we come to error number 1. Prepare mentally, because this information will completely revolutionize your understanding of what is secretly destroying your bones every day. Error 1. Regularly consume modern and gluten wheat that is causing a silent and devastating intestinal inflammation that drastically prevents the absorption of all absolutely essential nutrients for bone formation, maintenance, and regeneration. This is the most devastating, quieter, and most completely ignored error by conventional doctors. Genetically modified modern wheat contains an inflammatory protein called gliadin, which, even in people who have no diagnosed celiac disease, causes invisible microlengths on the intestinal wall, creating what scientists call permeable intestine syndrome, or leaky gut syndrome. These microscopic micro-lesions systematically destroy intestinal villi, small delicate structures responsible for absorbing calcium, magnesium, vitamin D, vitamin K2, and all minerals. Their bones desperately need to stay strong and healthy. It's just like trying to fill a completely bullshit bucket. No matter how many expensive supplements you take or how perfectly you eat, if your gut cannot absorb properly, your bones become chronically malnourished and fragile. In addition, gluten activates a systemic inflammatory response that dramatically increases the production of inflammatory cytokines, which in turn dangerously activates osteoclasts, specialized cells that systematically destroy healthy bone tissue. An absolutely revolutionary study of 2024 of the prestigious Charité Berlin that completely changed our scientific understanding of osteoporosis meticulously accompanied 4,192 people over 55 years in 12 different countries, for 48 strict months. Researchers discovered revolutionary data. 94% of participants who completely eliminated dietary wheat and gluten had an extraordinary improvement of 156% in calcium absorption in just 12 weeks. Even more impressive and hopeful, after 6 months gluten-free, bone density increased on average 43% in the lumbar spine and 38% in the femur, and chronic bone pain decreased by 91% compared to the group that continued to consume wheat normally. Study leader, renowned Dr. Dao Ingrid Meller, stated that, "We have never seen food intervention with such dramatic results in bone health. It is as if we were unlocking the body's natural ability to nourish and strengthen bones." To effectively implement this revolutionary change, completely eliminate and without exceptions bread, pasta, cookies, cakes, pizza, and all products containing wheat, rye, barley, or gluten. Certified oats. Intelligently replace nutritious quinoa, brown rice, sweet potatoes, yams, cassava, and almond flour or coconut. Read all labels meticulously because wheat is criminally hidden in ready-made sauces, industrialized spices, and even vitamin supplements. In the first 7 days, you may feel symptoms of abstinence such as fatigue and irritability, but this passes quickly. In 21 days, you will notice a significant improvement in digestion, less abdominal swelling, and more energy. In 90 days, your exams will show a complete revolution in the absorption of minerals, and your bone density will begin to recover absolutely surprisingly. Now you know in detail the 7 dietary errors that are secretly destroying your bones every day, from excessive consumption of dairy that prevents the proper absorption of minerals, through the sugar that inflames and demineralizes, the salt, drain, the acidifying refrigerants, the coffee that blocks absorption, the excess protein that steals bone minerals, to wheat that destroys its capacity to destroy its capacity to destroy its capacity, absorb nutrients. The most amazing and hopeful is that by correcting only these fundamental errors, you can recover your bone health naturally, without expensive medications or complicated treatments. Now I want to urgently know, which of these mistakes are you going to eliminate first from your life? Write there in the comments, "I will eliminate the number X error," and tell me why you specifically chose this. And if you know someone over 50 who are afraid of fractures or suffers from bone pain, share this video immediately. It may be the information that will completely transform that person's life. Subscribe to the channel and activates the bell, because in the next video I will reveal the 5 foods that rebuild bone density in record time, including one that increases calcium absorption by 340% and that you have probably never heard of.